So I think it's fair to say that there were a lot of concerning aspects of this game, with the main issues being United's build-up in the first half, the constant bad decisions in attacks coming from the flanks leading to the attack breaking down, the lack of ability to link the play from the forward line, as well as Wolves being able to run through United like a Vindaloo. But let's start on the positives. For me, man of the match was Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Now I will say that I do still have concerns with him in the defensive and the middle third in possession, as I discussed in my recent analysis of Dalot, which I will leave linked in the description. But in this game, not only was Wan-Bissaka excellent defensively, which he seems to always be, but he also showed his ability to be a threat in the final third, and it was his looping cross which led to Varane's winning goal. So I should say that this is my analysis straight after the game. I will be doing a more in-depth video once I rewatch the game, so make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you do get notified when that video is out. But before I go any further, are you looking to dramatically improve your fantasy football point score from last season? Well, let me tell you about the sponsor of today's video, Fantasy Football Fix, which is the perfect tool for anyone who wants to get the best possible start to this FPL season, as they provide an Elite 11 team reveal which allows you to track fantasy football's greatest ever managers in real time, with over 82 top 10,000 and 61 top 5,000 finishes. And just in my opinion, if you're not using this and someone else is, you're at a massive disadvantage. But not just that, Fantasy Football Fix also allows you to see the pre-deadline captain ownership data. The assistant manager tool also allows you to unlock transfer optimization, and you can also get predicted prices data to potentially get an advantage in the long run by increasing your team's overall value. And alongside this, they also have stats from Opta, they have predicted player points and much more. And I personally will definitely be using Fantasy Football Fix, and I'll be setting up my own fantasy football league, so I'll put a code somewhere either on the screen or in the description. So not only can you join my league, but you can also use Fantasy Football Fix to try to beat me as well. And so I'll leave it linked in the description for you to go to after this video. So in the build up to the goal, you can see as the ball gets switched out to Anthony, who's holding his width on the right side, Wolves are pushed back to the edge of their box in their own defensive third. And you can see here that Al Nouri and Hang Hee-chan have been dragged towards Anthony, allowing Wan-Bissaka to make the underlapping run on the inside, and initially he is being tracked by Lemina. However, as Anthony plays a pass back inside to Bruno Fernandes, Lemina loses concentration, he gets dragged towards the ball with Fernandes instead of tracking Wan-Bissaka's run, and you can see the massive amount of space that's opened up between Kilman and Al Nouri, and this is exactly why United need these kind of underlapping runs from the flanks, as in the first half, when Anthony and Garnacho didn't have these sorts of runs, they were constantly getting blocked out by Wolves who were shuttling across, and because there were no runners, United couldn't break through. But also the fact that this is late on in the game I think also contributes to this, as Lemina, who I did think was excellent pretty much all game apart from this, if it was in the first half I think he tracks Wan-Bissaka's run, but because this is late on in the game I think mental fatigue does play a part. But credit to Bruno Fernandes, as not only does he see Wan-Bissaka's run, he sees the opening, but he also plays the exact right type of pass to release Wan-Bissaka with the correct weight. And just because Wan-Bissaka had the initiative earlier on in the attack to make that underlapping run, he's able to find himself in an advanced dangerous position, and as the ball is bouncing, like Bruno Fernandes, Wan-Bissaka plays the perfect type of pass with the correct weight on the pass, meaning that Varane really just has to get his head on the ball and the ball goes in the net, giving United the winner. But throughout the game, United really did struggle both in and out of possession, and this can be seen by the XG, as despite recording an XG of 1.97 throughout the whole game, they conceded an XG of 1.72. And going into half-time, Wolves actually had a greater XG of 0.28 compared to United's 0.26, showing just how bad United were in that first half. In the build-up phase, I thought United struggled to play through Wolves because their system was compact, organised but not overly conservative. And I personally thought the problem stemmed from United in midfield, as I really didn't think Fernandes, Casemiro and Mount, alongside the two fullbacks, were orchestrating enough movement to drag Wolves players out of positions and open up potential spaces, nor were they taking risks when they received the ball. Here we see Onana plays a pass into Mason Mount, who in this phase of play has dropped in front of the Wolves midfield line, seeing United move away from the 3-3-2-3 build-up shape to more of a temporary 3-4-1-3 with Fernandes sitting slightly higher than Mount and Casemiro. But as Mount receives this pass, you can see that if he just looks over his right shoulder, he can see that he's got time and space to turn with the ball and potentially play out. But for whatever reason, he doesn't take this risk and instead plays a pass straight back to Onana, meaning that United didn't make any ball progression from this situation and putting them back in the same position in front of the Wolves' defensive system. But in general, I just thought there was a real lack of movement for the centre-backs and the goalkeeper when United did have the ball in their own half. You can see here that as Onana has possession, Rafa Varane makes a central run, trying to pull Sarabia into a central position, and what I think needs to be done here is the right back Aaron Wan-Bissaka needs to drop into this space that Varane has left, giving Onana a passing option which isn't going to send United all the way out into the touchline and allow Wolves to simply squeeze over and condense the space. If Wan-Bissaka drops into this right centre-back position, this is going to force Matheus Nunes to push up to look to apply the pressure, allowing Antony to drop into the space deeper on the right flank, forcing Al Nouri, the Wolves left back, to push up and vacate the space in behind, allowing whoever's on the right flank, Fernandes or Rashford, to make a bending run into that space, potentially allowing United to get in behind the Wolves' back line. However, without this sort of fluid positional change or the risk taking in midfield, Wolves were fairly comfortable in their defensive shape, allowing United to just circulate the ball from side to side. And here's another example of United's poor midfield play. Wan-Bissaka has the ball on the right side and he feeds a pass into Casemiro, who not only is rather lethargic in getting the ball under control and out of his feet, but also doesn't check his shoulder to have the awareness to see that João Gomes is pressing him from behind, leading to the ball getting stuck under his feet, inviting the pressure and losing the ball in United's own half. And to be honest, I thought Casemiro, Mount and Fernandes, certainly in the first half, were all quite poor in possession, which may be because it is the first game of the season, but it's definitely something that needs to be improved on quickly. United need to get better at working the ball through the centre of the pitch, even under pressure, with one of the deeper three players, Lisandro Martinez, Onana or Varane, feeding a pass straight into either Mount or Casemiro, who can then look to efficiently bounce the ball out wide. And the reason why it would have been beneficial for United to work the ball through Mount or Casemiro and then out to the fullback is because if the ball goes straight from Lisandro Martinez or Varane out to Shaw or Wan-Bissaka, is that the Wolves' 4-1-3-2 defensive shape is perfectly set up for this, with that narrow shape condensing over to that side of the field, making it hard for Shaw or Wan-Bissaka to find a forward pass. But instead, if the ball goes into Mount or Casemiro first, this is going to see the Wolves midfield line condense into the centre of the pitch, meaning that Nunes and Neto on either side of the midfield come a lot narrower, leaving a lot more space on the flank for the fullbacks. And so if Mount and Casemiro are efficient with their use of possession under pressure, the ball can be fed into them, they can quickly bounce the ball out to Shaw or Wan-Bissaka, who then have the space to drive into, pushing United up the pitch and getting them out of their defensive third. But United also had problems linking the play further up the pitch. Here we can see that Onana, Varane and Lisandro Martinez have created a back three shifting over to the left side, giving United a numerical advantage with Luke Shaw pushing infield, creating a double pivot alongside Casemiro. As the ball gets moved out to the left side with Martinez, you can see that box shape being created with Bruno Fernandes and Mason Mount in the half space ahead of Luke Shaw and Casemiro. And so this means that with João Gomes pushed up onto Luke Shaw and Lamina and Neto being stretched, there's a massive amount of space for Rashford to drop off from the forward line into. And we can see from this position that Lisandro Martinez is looking for that line breaking pass into the centre forward, and Anthony Martial is fantastic at receiving the ball and linking the play efficiently. However, I think this game really showcases Marcus Rashford's deficiencies as a centre forward, as he drops off and receives the ball with pressure from the centre back behind him, but he can lay the ball off either side to either Luke Shaw on the left or Mason Mount on the right, and if this ball goes to either of these two, you can see Garnacho making that penetrating run, and it's potentially an opportunity to release Garnacho into a 1v1 situation. However, rather than laying the ball off efficiently, Rashford takes too many touches, invites the pressure and ends up losing the ball in the centre of the pitch to Neto, allowing Wolves to regain possession and yet another United attack breaking down. Now in the next part of my analysis I will be going over why United's attacks were constantly breaking down, specifically looking at Antony and Garnacho's deficiencies, but also looking at the problems United had from a defensive point of view, with Wolves constantly breaking through the centre of the pitch. So if you do want to get notified when that video comes out, make sure you click the bell for notifications, check out my Patreon podcast which will be linked in the description, and put your thoughts on the game in the comments section below.